Если чуть обед займем, нормально? Проверка. Hello. Hello everyone and welcome to the course Basics of Financial Literacy. Друзья? Hello and welcome to the course Basics of Financial Literacy. Все? Кетті ма? Жарайды. Ага. Hello everyone and welcome to the course Basics of Financial Literacy. My name is Nurhat Ibadildin. I'm an associate professor of School of Creative Industries and I'll be the lecturer for this course. And today we will start with the first lecture, which will be Introduction to Financial Literacy. So let's start with course overview. So we have designed this course to equip students with essential financial knowledge so that you can make better financial decisions. And we will cover budgeting, savings, investment, debt management, consumer rights, and financial fraud prevention throughout this course. And you should be able to make informed financial decisions, understand key financial products, and create a basic financial plan after taking this course. So let's take a look at the topics that we will cover throughout this course. So starting with week 1, it will be Introduction to Financial Literacy. Then we will continue with budgeting and financial planning. Then savings and emergency funds, understanding debt and credit, and consumer rights and financial fraud prevention. And this will be the first half of our trimester. In the second half, we will cover investing, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, retirement planning and compound interest, insurance, protection and risk management, tax basics and tax planning, and the last but not least lecture will be about financial planning, putting it all together. Now let's take a look at the learning objectives of the course. So we want to develop personal and business budgets, understand the importance of saving and how to create saving plans, analyze and evaluate different types of debt, including credit, cards, and loans. Then we will talk about and comprehend basic investment concepts, including stocks, bonds, and retirement plans. Then we will continue with recognizing consumer rights and identification of financial fraud prevention strategies. Then we want to be able to create a simple personal financial plan based on goals and risk tolerance. As you can see, this is an introductory course about financial literacy. And then if you're interested in finance, you can take other finance-related courses. So what we'll cover in week 1. So we want to understand the importance of financial literacy, recognize the role of financial literacy in daily life, identify common financial strategies and mistakes, and learn about key financial terms and concepts. For this week 1 Introduction to Financial Literacy lecture. So let's start with the definition. What is a financial literacy? The ability to understand and effectively use various financial skills, including personal financial management, budgeting, and investing. And why it matters? Because nowadays a lot of people are making a lot of financial mistakes. They have a lot of debts, and this course will help you to make informed financial decisions and will be better off throughout your life. So why it matters? Yes, so we want you to be financially independent, avoid debt traps by knowing about finance more, building wealth, and preparing for emergencies, because in our lives we all might have emergencies, and by having reserve funds or emergency funds, it will help you to overcome these obstacles. And this is like a statistic that 66% or 2 out of 3 adults worldwide are financially illiterate. Yes, so, and after this course, you will be 1 out of 3 who will be financially literate. Okay, and let's take a look at the example. Yes, what kind of financial challenges you might encounter in real life. So Aybek, he is a 25-year-old, struggles with debt due to poor budgeting. Yes, he accumulates credit card debt while living paycheck to paycheck. And without savings, he cannot manage an unexpected medical bill. Yes, if he has medical problems. So, and lack of financial literacy leads to poor financial decisions. And that's why it's important to understand the main concepts in this course. So, and we want you to avoid such common financial mistakes as living beyond your means, failing to budget ahead of time, not saving or investing from early on in your lives, misusing credit cards, and not having an emergency fund. Now let's continue with key financial concepts such as income, yes, which is money you earn from salary, business revenue. Then we have expenses, money that you spend on bills, groceries, rent. Then your assets, what you own, such as cash, property, investments, and liabilities, what you owe, such as loans, credit card debt, etc. Now let's look at the example so that we can understand better income versus expenses concept. So we have Aygul who earns 3,000 a month and spends 2,500. So is she living within her means? Yes, because only 500 remains for savings or emergencies. Yes, as a difference between a salary and her expenses. So which means that she could be at risk without proper savings, because 500 might not be enough for savings or emergencies. And later we will talk more about emergency fund. So what is the concept of budgeting? So it is a plan for how to spend and save your income over time, which sounds quite easy, but not a lot of people are creating budget because it takes time, and then you need to monitor your expenses. So key components of your budget will be income, fixed expenses, variable expenses, savings, and debt repayment. So why budgeting is important for us? Because it keeps you in control of your finances, helps avoid overspending, encourages savings, provides a plan for unexpected expenses. So the life won't go according to your plan or your budget, but it's a good way to prepare for emergencies. So let's take a look at the example of simple monthly budget. So you have income, 3,000, then you have fixed expenses such as rent for your apartment, in this case 1,000, utilities 200, and you have also variable expenses such as groceries, transportation, and then you have some savings, 400, which was wise decision. Then your total expenses are 2,200, and then the difference between your income and expenses will be the leftover, which is 800 in this case, for savings or discretionary spending. Okay, so we have introduced a new term, savings, in this slide. Now let's take a look at the concept of savings. It is a portion of income not spent but set aside for future use. Why it is important? If we have savings, we can create emergency fund, use it for future investments and for retirement. Now let's take a look at types of saving accounts. So there are regular savings account, money market account, certificates of deposit or CDs, interest rates and liquidity considerations. So, and as we go forward, we will try to look at the examples that will highlight these concepts. So, Samal saves 200 a month in a regular savings account, and the emergency fund goal is in 6 months of living expenses is 12,000. So how long will it take her to reach the goal? It will take 60 months or 5 years. Yeah, so this example is quite simple, but it gives you understanding how much you need to save in order to create your emergency fund, yes, for various reasons. And later on we will go into more details with emergency fund. Now let's take at the credit. Yes, it's the ability to borrow money with a promise to pay it back later. So key points when we are talking about credit are credit cards, loans, importance of managing credit responsibly, and impact on credit score. So, and most of your time you will encounter with credit by using credit card. So Talgat charges 1,000 to his credit card at 18% and only makes the minimum payment. So how long will it take him to pay off the debt? It's like a discussion question, and I want you to highlight the effect of compounding interest on debt repayment. So let's try to solve this question. We will start with assumptions. So our interest rate will be 18% per year or 1.5% per month. Yes, so 18 divided by 12 will give us 1.5% per month. So minimum payment. Typically, credit cards require minimum payment of 2% of the balance or flat rate, whichever is higher. So for simplicity, let's assume the minimum payment is 2% of the balance. Now let's take a look at minimum payments. So the minimum payment will decrease as the balance decreases, but we can start with the initial payment calculation. So we have initial balance of 1,000. So minimum payment initial is 0.02, which is 2%, times 1,000 will give us $20. Then let's take a look at the interest accumulation. The interest accrues monthly, so each month the new balance will be equal old balance plus interest minus our minimum payment. And we can calculate the balance month by month until the debt is paid off. So it will take Talgat approximately 94 months or 7 years and 10 months to pay off his credit card debt of 1,000 if he makes only the minimum payment. So why is it important? Because here we encountered the concept of compounding interest. So we have interest accumulation, yes, because the 18% annual interest translates to a monthly rate of 1.5%. that we calculated. And this means that Talgat's debt increases each month due to interest charges, which makes it difficult to pay down the principal balance effectively. Then the minimum payment is important because Talgat is only making minimum payments, initially $20, which reduces as the balance decreases. A significant portion of his payment goes towards the interest rather than reducing the principal amount that he owes. So this creates a cycle where it takes much longer to pay off the debt. Yeah, so, and when you are borrowing money, you need to look at the interest rate, and if it's too high, you might be in the same position. Long-term impact. Over the course of nearly 8 years, Talgat will end up paying a considerable amount in interest, and the longer it takes to pay off the debt, the more interest he accrues, which highlights the detrimental effects of carrying a balance on high-interest credit cards. And when you are taking any type of credit, you need to look what is the interest payment and how long will it take you to pay off the credit. So let's continue with total payments. So we want to see the complete picture, and we want to calculate the total amount paid by Talgat over this period. Yes, principal plus interest rate. So over the course of 94 months, Talgat will pay a total of $1,880 to settle his debt. And so total amount that will be paid is $1,880, and total interest paid is $880. Yeah, so the principal was $1,000, and he paid interest of $880. So in this case, Talgat ends up paying nearly 88% of the original debt amount in interest alone, which underscores the significant impact of compounding interest when making only minimum payments on a credit card. And in this case, we want to highlight the importance of paying down high interest debt as quickly as possible to minimize interest costs and shorten the repayment period. So, what is the power of compound interest? Why is it important? Earning interest on both the original amount and the accumulated interest will help you to understand this concept. Yes, and in order to calculate this amount, we will use this formula where we have our principal account, which is letter P, R is our interest rate, N number of compounding periods, and T is the time periods when our interest is compounded. And let's look at the example. Yes, so you invest $1,000 at 5% annual interest and compound it yearly for 10 years. Yes, so this is an example that is simplified for the purpose of learning. So how much will you have at the end of 10 years? Yes, so approximately it will be $1,628, and you can do it on your own by using the formula and check the answer. So why is it important to manage our debts? Yes, debt can be a tool, yes, such as student loans and mortgages, as long as you know how to pay back. So unmanaged debt can lead to financial struggles, and you want to learn how to differentiate between a bad debt which might be consumer debt, and good debt, such as investment. So what is the difference between good debt and bad debt? So good debt is mortgage, student loans, investment in the future, yes? And by taking, for example, this course and graduating from the university, it's a good investment. And bad debt will be credit card debt, payday loans, because it has high interest consumer debt. Okay, so now you know more about the difference between good debt and bad debt. So, and how can we struggle with debt? We can use debt snowball method. So, and the strategy in this case will be pay off the smallest debts first while making minimum payments on larger debts. So Leila has 3 debts, 500, 2,000 and 5,000. So in order to get out of this difficult financial situation, Leila should focus on the 500 debt, yes, the smallest debt, first to build momentum and then move on to the next debt. So we previously mentioned an emergency fund. So it is recommended to have 6 months of living expenses, yes, in order to consider it as emergency fund. Keep these funds in an accessible low-risk savings account. And the purpose of emergency fund is to help you to cover unexpected expenses like medical bills or job loss. Because in our lives, we will encounter with various obstacles. So an example with emergency fund, you lose your job, for example, and you have 10,000 saved in your emergency fund. How long can you survive on this fund if your monthly expenses are 2,000? Yes, so it's kind of easy to calculate, and I leave it to you to make your calculation. And when we are talking about financial literacy, you need to make financial goals and make some planning. Yes, so in order to set these financial goals, you can use SMART approach. Yes, so your financial goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So, and when we're making our goals, we want to have short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. So, and example, you want to save 5,000 in 1 year for a vacation. Yeah, so this is your financial goal, which is specific. Yes, so you're saving for vacation. Measurable, 5,000. Achievable, if you are making money. Relevant. And time-bound. You want to do it in 1 year. So another example with SMART goals, you want to buy a car in 2 years with a 15,000 budget. Yeah, so you need to save 7,500 each year. Measurable, track monthly savings. Achievable, set aside $625 each month. Relevant, it aligns with transportation needs, so you won't be taking bus anymore. And time-bound, yes, you want to do it in 2 years. So, and in order to improve your planning, you can use budgeting apps such as Mint, YNAB, financial calculators on bank websites, and use credit score monitoring tools such as Credit Karma. So, and also you can seek professional financial advice when you are in a difficult situation. And there are different types of financial advisors: certified financial planner, investment advisor, or you can also talk to your friends, your relatives, if you have smaller problems. So, and you need to take into account costs and benefits of working with a financial professional. Yes, because professionals are expensive, and you need to think whether you need a financial advisor. Yes, on a smaller scale, your friend or your parents can give you a good advice for free. So now let's recap this lecture. So we understood why financial literacy is crucial, because it's the foundation for managing your money wisely and achieving financial independence. Budgeting is essential. A well-planned budget helps you control your spending, avoid debt, and achieve your financial goals. And all we covered these topics in examples. Yes. So also you want to have prioritization of savings for emergencies and future needs to protect yourself from unexpected financial shocks. That's why you need to understand the concept of savings and emergency funds. Also, we want you to understand the concept of credit and debt management, so that you can understand the impact of credit and learn how to manage debt responsibly, and take action now after viewing this first lecture. So you should start applying these concepts today for long-term financial success. So in the next week, we will cover budgeting and financial planning, learn how to create a personal budget and manage expenses effectively. And after this lecture, you can make a discussion with your group mates, with your friends. So what are some financial habits you'd like to improve this semester? Do you think budgeting is a useful tool for everyone or only for people with financial problems? Have you ever faced a financial challenge that could have been prevented with better financial literacy? Thank you for your attention, and this is the end of lecture 1. Так, ну, да, закончу сейчас где-то минут 10 перерыв, потом следующий.
Одну лекцию закончили, да, получается?
Да, одну лекцию.